Good morning. Those of you who've joined us already, we've got quite a few people signed up for the webinar for the next hour. I think in true to form, a lot of people will be joining in the next minute or two. So we're going to kick off anyway because it's 10 o'clock. So welcome. My name's John Fisher. I'm Chief Exec of CHIC. Just a couple of admin points first. We are recording the session. The recording has started and it will be available recorded afterwards. And the slides, there's quite a few slides we're going to use this morning. If you feel you need to sit and scribble, don't worry. They will be circulated to everybody who's joined us after the event. So Hannah Gould, one of my colleagues who's behind the CHIC webinars window, if you can see that, is in control of all the electronics. So hopefully that will work. She'll flick us through the slides, but she will also circulate them to you. So we'll move on to the agenda for the next hour, please. So I'm just going to take through each session, and my colleagues are going to present these. Will introduce themselves briefly. So after an introduction and a bit of background from me, we'll go to an overview of what this framework is for. So Luke.
Good morning, all. I'm Luke Hurd. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for CHIC.
Thank you, Luke. Then we'll go and look at the procurement process and particularly the lot structure and the outcomes in terms of the framework structure and participants. So Ian.
Yes, I'm Ian McKinnon, so I'm Senior Procurement Manager here at CHIC.
We'll then go slightly technical and we'll get a summary of the specifications that we've used and the way the framework was priced. So Hannah.
Good morning, I'm Hannah, one of the technical managers at CHIC.
Thanks, Hannah. Then we're going to look about how awards take place under the framework. The bit most of you will be interested in is how work is awarded under the framework, and you're going to hear from Amy.
Good morning, I'm Amy. I am Head of Member Services for the West Region.
Thanks, Amy. And then managing the framework. So from a partnership point of view, Mike will follow up with the last presentation. So Mike.
Morning, guys. I'm Mike Harris, Head of Partnerships here at CHIC.
Thanks, Mike. And then we hopefully will have a bit of time for a question and answer session. On the next slide, you will be asked to use the Q&A function on Zoom, so button at the bottom. We will keep an eye on the questions, so just drop them in there and we'll try and pick them up at the end. We have got a few frequently asked questions as well. We'll share at the end, but we'd like to pick any questions you guys have up before we get to the FAQs. So just a bit from me about slide, please, Hannah. Apologies, everybody. You're going to hear slide, please, a few times during this, but Zoom still haven't perfected a way of trying to nudge somebody who's in control of these things. So some of your organisations will already be participants in CHIC frameworks or dynamic purchasing system. Many of you will be new. On the call, we have got quite a lot of contractors who are new participants in this M&E framework, and we have also got some of our members. So you're all very welcome. For those who don't know much about CHIC, what you've seen through the procurement process will give you a fair understanding. But as a summary, CHIC it's an asset management and procurement consortium. So although we are a compliant procurement organisation, we come from an asset management background. So we like to think that we understand the sector that our members work in, managing and maintaining their homes, and the contractors that they need to work with to do that effectively and efficiently. So CHIC's owned by its members. It's a not-for-profit consortium, and importantly, it's governed by its members. There's a board of non-execs made up mainly of member representatives, and basically we deliver frameworks. We provide frameworks and a dynamic purchasing system solution for our members to access, and that's managed by a dedicated team of people, some of whom are on the call and have just introduced themselves. So slide, please. Our members, hopefully we'll get one, work across the UK. We have limited activity at the moment in Scotland and Northern Ireland, but you can see from the dots there that we are doing something, but very active across all of England and Wales. So in the framework procurement, we've looked at the government regions geographically. And from a procurement point of view, those little green dots show where our members are based, although some work both regionally and nationally. So the coverage of actual activity through our frameworks is even greater than that map shows. Our members generally are housing associations or local authorities, but we do have other more wider membership in other sectors. And those members, any member who's required to participate in public procurement or called by public procurement rules is able to join CHIC. There's no cost to them to join. CHIC's funded through transaction fees that are built in to all activities that are delivered under CHIC frameworks and call-off contracts. Thank you, Hannah. So just a few sort of headline numbers. We've got somewhere around, it's grown a little bit since this slide was put together, sort of 250, 300 members, some very active, some with limited activity, and an even greater number of supply chain members that we work with. And obviously you guys, many of you on the call are joining us as new supply chain partners today. We've got a whole range of what we call routes to market that sit under different service heads I'll show you in a moment. But importantly, our members collectively look after about half of the social housing homes across the UK. So our reach is potentially quite significant. And what we try to do is have sensible and meaningful solutions that help our members maintain their homes effectively and efficiently so that their residents get great service outcomes. Currently, we've got just over 850 live contracts, but a lot coming through. Obviously, many of them are term contracts, need replacement, so we're constantly working on those. Spend this financial year, our year finishes at the end of June, is somewhere between, it's gone up a little bit from that, nearly 300 million that's spent through contracts procured through CHIC. It's growing again next year to around 400 million. A lot of those are small value contracts, a lot of M&E type work and facilities management type work is smaller contracts in spend terms. And that's why CHIC is there, to provide a full range of services to its members. Next slide, please. Frameworks, you'll hear more about these from colleagues in a moment, but essentially we have a continual procurement process to have a dynamic suite of frameworks that deliver the solutions that our members need to maintain their homes effectively and efficiently. So what you've just been through in a procurement process is a necessary activity to make your services, if you're a contractor on this call, available to our members. Thanks, Hannah. The public procurement rules, the new Procurement Act was introduced in February, end of February. That intentionally pushes up standards of procurement in the public sector. There's a further push from the Cabinet Office with a gold standard expectation with some very stringent requirements. We have been through a verification process late last year and achieved gold standard status, which was effectively managed and overseen by Constructing Excellence. So we're pleased that we've done that, but importantly, it makes sure we offer the right standard and outcomes for our members and supply chain partners. Thank you, Hannah. So I said I'd mention services briefly. Here they are. We've got 8 separate service headings that describe everything we do. Under each, there's a whole portfolio of what we call products. So that will be framework solutions, a dynamic purchasing system. Our M&E framework we're talking about today is under the Building Safety and Compliance Service. So you'll hear more about that shortly. Thanks, Hannah. Structure, I've already mentioned the board of directors. So 2 independents and the rest are member representatives. And then we have a management team who look after the delivery of services to members and support supply chain partners. Not going to go through it, but hopefully self-explanatory. You can see the range of activities that we look after, and you're hearing from representatives of most of those teams, certainly in the orange bit, in a moment. Thank you, Hannah. As well as providing efficient procurement, we also work closely with the supply chain in terms of cost of products. What funny graph in front of you, if you look to the left-hand side, we priced a basket of goods. This was with material suppliers when CHIC was launched back in early 2011, and we've kept track of that ever since at the prices we're able to secure for members through aggregated purchasing against what would have happened if CPI or RPI had been added. So we've been able to maintain cost-effective solutions for members, and we will continue to measure that basket of goods. And that's part of what makes us slightly different to some other consortia, in that we work directly with materials manufacturers, with merchants, and so on. So where appropriate, we can separate big ticket materials from labour and deliver better value outcomes for members. Thank you, Hannah. Penultimate slide for me. This graph just shows the savings that we've delivered for members. So CHIC's objective is efficient procurement, the right asset management solutions for our members for the good of their residents. But if we can do it in a cost-effective and efficient way, there are procurement savings, both for members and for you supply chain partners, but there are also savings as per the last slide. So that's what we're charged with trying to deliver, and we think we do reasonably well at it. So thank you, Hannah. And final slide from me. Social value is intrinsic to everything that we do. So you will have seen in the framework procurement that there was a requirement for any call-off contract to deliver a minimum of 1% of the contract spend in terms of social value outcomes. All sorts of ways of doing that, and we will help participants under any contract to achieve that. On top of that, we have an aligned charity called CHIP, Communities and Housing Investment in People, and CHIC donates some money to that on an annual basis to deliver the range of activities on the left. So we are fully committed to delivering added social value. We'll help you to do it through any contracts that are procured. Members will want to see that, the clients under contracts, but we also do it ourselves through CHIP. So enough from me for background. We'll now come on to talk specifically about the framework itself. So this is the M&E framework. I will hand over to Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Luke Hurd. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, John. Again, good morning, everybody. Next slide, please, Hannah. So just very quickly, I just want to go over the sort of background to this specific framework and what we had previously. So CHIC has always had a sort of M&E offering that we've been able to give to our members. However, it was not lost, but sort of combined within wider frameworks. So what you just see on the screen there is the sort of routes to market that we had originally through our all under one roof DPS and planned works DPS, but also our planned works framework. And what that combined is, John mentioned there, sort of big ticket items, so kitchens, bathrooms, windows, doors, electrical rewires, and gas sort of heating installations. Because of that, we had a limited offer in terms of the number of providers that were available through those frameworks, because they were just wider, much larger frameworks to the sector. Next slide, please. What we've done in the meantime is we've undertaken a fair bit of sort of consultation with our members and our suppliers, and they were saying to us very clearly that the sector required a more dedicated framework for mechanical and electrical. So some of the areas that we've sort of looked at across the sector was moving to sort of more defined work streams. I'll come on to the structure of the framework very shortly, and then Hannah later in this presentation will go through the detail of it. But we certainly wanted to separate sort of installation, so new installations through both M&E and the servicing, which we have now done. We also understood from the sector the introduction of low carbon technologies is a big growth area within the sector, and through the agenda, the government's agenda for net zero targets, it was very clear that we needed to offer a route to market that was dedicated to those. The other part of it was around, again, that consultation with our members who said they wanted an easier way to commission works through mechanical and electrical installations and servicing, hence why we sort of moved to this sole dedicated framework. Next slide, please, Hannah. So what have we come out to market with? Well, the framework had two key lots in it. Obviously, the mechanical lot, which included heating, servicing, testing and inspection, as well as installation as a separate work stream, and then low carbon technologies, which again is introducing a lot more of the innovation that comes through from the sector as a dedicated route to market under that. For electrical, we also had electrical rewiring as work stream 1, again separating out installation and replacement, but more importantly also looking at fit only. So as John mentioned earlier, one of the key strategies for CHIC is kind of separation of labour and materials, and a number of our members like the idea of being able to purchase big ticket items separately to the labour provision. So we have a completely separate sort of series of contractors on there that price for fit only, where the member supplies the materials, and then again the serving, testing and inspection. Workstream 2, the energy, includes a lot of the low carbon technologies, solar, etc., etc. So again, it's about looking at how we were able to define and give the sector routes to key providers, key supply chain partners to deliver specifically those areas of work. And then the final work stream was ventilation. That for me is just a very quick sort of overview as to why we've developed this framework in the nature that we have. What I will now do is hand over to Ian, who will talk you through some of the procurement and how we followed the procurement regulations, and then Hannah will pick up afterwards and go into a bit more of the technical details. Thank you, Ian.
Thanks, Luke. So yeah, Ian McKinnon, Senior Procurement Manager. Welcome, everybody. And so I'm just going to crack on to the next slide if possible. So we have at CHIC what we call the procurement journey, which is our defined program, our process that we follow. And it roughly follows 5 stages. So right at the beginning, Luke was talking about sort of the strategy, why we pulled this together. So obviously that's what we do in stages 1 and 2 via engagement and the strategy itself. And during that strategy, we decided that it would be an open procedure under PCR 15 at the time. So this is one of the last ones. As John mentioned, we'll be moving over to PA 23 going forward, where we did it in the old regulations, which went out on the February this year. So obviously then we launched into stage 3, which is the procurement process. That's when you were all invited for the tenderers here to view our ITT, ask questions and submit your tenders at the end of the process. And obviously stage 4 framework award. In between there's a lot of work that we do before we move on to the award. So we use the Common Assessment Standards, and which has some really interesting sort of new elements to it, such as BSA, which we're going to work with a lot of you over the next 6 months to work out how that exactly is going to work with the framework. But yeah, certainly that was a new introduction, and we're working with Construction Line, so many of you can go there and ask questions and things like that. So on the framework management, we're basically almost finished framework award now. I think we've pretty much signed all our agreements, so we're really into stage 5. So that's where we are today. Next slide, please. So the e-sourcing structure and the structure of our documents, as you would have seen, are sort of split into an invitation to tender, which contains the procurement information documents, and your response documents. So your standard questionnaire, which has the CAS in there, obviously quality response, price, form of tender. Obviously, we follow the clarifications process once we launch it. And then obviously you populate the response documents there, send them back to us, and we clarify with you and then evaluate. Obviously, we do the initial checks and compliancy, which we've had a look back and forth, and then eventually to your outcome letters. So we send these out to you. Now, this is a standard model that we use. It's a lot more complex in reality, but we're just trying to give you an illustration of what you can expect going forward. It's very similar, as I'll go on when you see mini competitions, a very similar process. So when we do a competitive tender. So next slide, please. So we went for most advantageous tender. So we were sort of in line with the new Act, as it were, early. And we split quality implies 50-50. The technical questions we felt warranted a 40% with a 10% social value, and 50% for the SOR's statement schedule of requirements. We had a 40%, and we asked for a NHF adjustment percentage from you to see what was competitive in that area. Next slide, please. So as you can see, this is about 6 months. The procurement timeline, the commencement of the framework was the 1st of April, so we're under play now. So tenderers that have qualified can receive an expression of interest at any time. We recommend you look out on the Panacea portal for those to make sure that you're not missing anything. So log in a few times, look out for your notifications. Yeah, they can start now. So as you can see, it was about a 6-month period, and that was just for the bits that sort of about. Obviously, there was a strategy and a lot of planning before this, so I would say another 6 months. So all in all, probably took 12 months end to end. Next slide, please. And this is taking one of John's slides and reusing it a little bit. You can see our geographical members spread on the left-hand side. And for this project, the suppliers and services that you can get by region. So you can see there's quite a strong presence down there in London. Actually, we've got quite a lot of service in Scotland. That's a one-figure number. It does split down by region a little bit more. So some of those are multiplied a little bit, but certainly in the London area, it is where we seem to have had a lot more success on this framework in terms of tenderers. And the Southeast as well is quite strong, and West Midlands, obviously where we're based. Next slide, please. So you've seen this already. So I just wanted to go into a little bit more about sort of the lot breakdowns. So we've got lot 1, mechanical and heating systems, lot 2, electrical and ventilation systems. And I'll just go into some numbers split down a little bit more by work stream for you on the next slide. So this is the number of tenders received by work stream. So for the central heating work stream 1, replacement of services, we've got 26. And of those 26, 22 were successful on onboarding the framework. And on work stream 2, low carbon technologies, we had 27 tenders and 26 successful on the framework. On to the next slide, please. And this further breaks down by region here. You can see a sort of, again, east of England, London, south east is where the strongest sort of set of sort of tenderers were. So that's, for both central heating and low carbon technologies, you can see a good spread. More work to be done in Northern Ireland, and certainly Scotland is growing as far as I can see. Next slide, please. And this is now lot 2 for electrical and ventilation. So electrical wiring, we have 37 tenders and 27 framework recommendations. So that's quite a significant sort of qualification number there. That's where we saw a lot of disqualifications, I suppose. But we're obviously confident that means that we've got the right tenderers in there. We've got electrical energy, 25 received for that and 25 frameworks. So that was where obviously a lot of the innovation is around battery technology, solar PV and whatnot. So we're really pleased to see those numbers. because that's an encouraging sort of offering on the framework. And again, ventilation systems are quite good. We've got 19 tenders received and 17 recommendations. So again, there's some good innovation in the ventilation system we can offer our members. On to the next slide, please. Breakdown by geography again for lot 2. So again, with West Midlands, we're quite strong there, and London for across the board. They're following a similar sort of path, I suppose, as the other ones. So more work to be on Northern Ireland, but Scotland growing again, and Wales getting stronger. So next slide, please. So breakdown of firms, what we mean by that is obviously SMEs versus sort of larger enterprises. We've got a really, really good split, really encouraging. More SMEs than we do the larger suppliers on here, which obviously supports the government's objective to remove barriers for participation for SMEs. So again, we can say this is a compliant route, and even for the larger companies, it means because the market's been tested in that ways, it's slightly more robust. And so, yeah, if we can move on to the next slide, please. And I just wanted to show this again. This is actually what we do in mini competitions. So the role of procurement, we don't just go away at the end of the framework process. We're still here to support the mini competitions or competitive tendering where a member decides that it's required. And it follows a very, very similar route as I touched on earlier on. The difference being we have a declarations of compliance rather than going through the whole CAS and B7 and the SQ again. You sort of self-declare that nothing's changed from your original submission, and that's how it is a lot shorter as a route to market. So next slide, please. And obviously we do then continue to support as part of the procurement of a project team. Next slide, please. Which is led by a member services team, which you'll meet Amy, who's on the slides further down the road. But in effect, we support as procurement managers, making sure that the flow downs and compliancy from the framework still apply throughout the mini competition process. So yeah, that's it from me. So I'm going to hand over now to Hannah.
Thanks, Ian. Morning all, Hannah Elliott, one of the technical managers here at CHIC, and I'm just going to give you a brief overview of the approach that we took with specification and pricing. Next slide, please, Hannah. So lot 1, our mechanical lot, covers heating installations and technologies. Workstream 1 provided for the installation and replacement of traditional boilers and heating systems. And as Luke said earlier, it includes options for members to supply materials. It also supports compliance by offering access to landlord gas safety record checks and 3- and 5-star servicing and repair contracts for gas and for wet electrical heating systems. Next slide, please, Hannah. Workstream 2 covers the low carbon technologies associated with that mechanical and heating side of things, and it covers a wide range of those technologies, including air source heat pumps. We've tried to ensure that we've covered all of the technologies that people may have in use now that may be phased out, and also those new and emerging technologies as well. And as with lot 1, it covers that full sort of installation and servicing piece. Next, please, Hannah. Lot 2 for electrical has 3 work streams. The first one for electrical wiring, that includes for rewires, and it covers domestic and communal and commercial rewires. It also includes for electrical space heating and other sort of associated equipment. Again, like lot 1, it includes for those member supplied materials and has options for that fit only to be provided. It also covers the servicing, testing and inspection of that electrical wiring through electrical installation condition reports, and provides for servicing of heating and for portable appliance testing. Next slide, please. Work stream 2 for electrical energy is back to those sort of low carbon technologies and those emerging technologies that we're dealing with. And that covers solar, battery storage and charging. And it again includes for install and replacement and for servicing of all of those. Servicing also included for small and micro wind turbines to try and ensure that we cover all of those technologies that people might have in use already. And then workstream 3 is for installation and replacement and servicing of ventilation systems and includes for MVHR, PIVs, centralized and decentralized extract systems, as well as intermittent ventilation. Next, please. The rates that have been provided under the framework are based on per property costs or per installation cost, dependent on what the item is. And all of those have been supplemented with NHF adjustments and day work rates that people can use should they need them. Next slide, please, Hannah. Our framework rates are reviewed annually and adjusted as appropriate. Should members wish to call off work from the framework, they may seek additional, more detailed rates for works and services through mini competition or as part of a direct award, or they can choose to use those framework rates if those are the most appropriate for them. And that's all from me. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Amy. I'm Head of Member Services for the West, and I'm just going to cover contract awards under the framework. Next slide, please, Hannah. So the new mechanical and electrical framework will cover areas such as gas and electrical, where we previously utilised the multiple elements or building works framework. Periodic testing and servicing EICRs are now available within the new framework, where we previously utilised CHIC's compliance framework. Decarbon ventilation works can now be covered by the new framework, as well as CHIC's Healthy Homes framework. We had 68 members with 125 contracts go through other mechanical and electrical frameworks in DPS. Next slide, please. At CHIC, we can support with either mini competition or a direct award as a compliant route to market. A mini competition is more suitable for testing the market to ensure the best value tender. Mini competition, also known as a further competition, allows contractors on the framework to bid for your specific requirements. It drives best value and it allows for bespoke pricing schedules aligning to your requirements. All mini competitions are procured via CHIC's e-sourcing portal, and the average time for our mini competitions are between 6 to 8 weeks. However, complexities within the tender can vary its timeline. Next slide, please, Hannah. The direct award route to market must be supported by a robust business case. It's usually utilised for emergency works, pre-existing relationships between a member and a contractor, or where there are specific requirements that can only be delivered by a certain contractor. The pricing schedules that were submitted at the point of tender for the frameworks are utilised for the pricing on a direct award. As CHIC's frameworks are unranked, this allows for a direct award to any contractor awarded on the framework. Next slide, please. So there are no direct costs for members to use our frameworks. The agreed CHIC framework fee is already included within the price schedules at point of contract for transparency. Based on the invoiced amounts for that month, the fees can then be collected from the contractor to make the process as easy as possible for the member. Next slide, please. So this is just a very simple workflow of how we at CHIC help our members from where the project is identified right through to delivery and further. So we support not only pre-contract but post-contract, acting as a critical friend should any issues arise. Next slide, please. So CHIC helps members find the right solution and manage contractor selection through to contract award. With a dedicated head of member service for each region, members get expert support from a trusted single point of contact. You can see me there in the west. Next slide, please, Hannah. CHIC's members include affordable housing landlords and local authorities, many of whom manage buildings across a range of sectors. Our frameworks also support any authority that are governed by procurement regulations and are spending public funds. Other members outside of social housing include blue light services, NHS trusts and schools. Next slide, please. As you can see, CHIC are continually reviewing the framework offering, ensuring that we have a compliant solution for all your procurement needs. We're currently working on a further 9 frameworks that will become available in the coming months. Please keep an eye out for any news regarding this. I'm now going to hand over to Mike, who's going to cover managing the frameworks. Thank you.
Thanks, Amy. Good morning, everyone. So yeah, I'm Mike Harris, Head of Partnerships here at CHIC. If you just want to ping over to the next slide, please, Hannah. Congratulations on being awarded to this esteemed framework. What we're doing at CHIC here is offering up partnership support to all of our new supply chain partners. As you can see from the slide, jumping onto this framework has really established your company within the sector, and it's given you a huge amount of market recognition. Myself and the supply chain team are in position to build long-term relationships with all of you, and we'll do that through constant meetings via Teams. If you follow us on LinkedIn, you'll see that myself and Lewis are out and about quite a lot, so we're happy to come over to yourselves and have sort of face-to-face meetings. You'll get from myself and the rest of the team a dedicated supply chain team who will help to support you, to discuss upcoming opportunities, to discuss sector issues, and also what's new in the sector. As Amy mentioned, we offer unranked procurement, which means that we're able to do direct awards to any other suppliers. This gives us the ability to have a very level playing field, so that the SMEs are able to bring their current clients or clients that they're speaking to the table, and we can work with them to look at those that direct procurement. We also have a DPS system which offers you further routes to market. So just because you're on this framework doesn't mean that that's the only route to market you've got there as well. We also monitor very closely social value. So we are within the framework agreement, there will be a 1% outcome through each of the contracts as well. Next slide, please. You also received your onboarding packs that would have been emailed out from my colleague Lewis. So this is giving you a bit of extra added value. So within this pack, you should have had an official CHIC press release. You'll have some CHIC kite marks so that you're able to use that within your social media posts. You'll have the member service team map, which Amy just covered off a minute ago. The CHIC member list, which is also available through our website. This gets updated on a sort of a bi-weekly basis as we're constantly growing. And there's a key contact form for you guys to fill out to ensure that we know all the right people to contact, depending on what the issue is or what we need to speak to you about. And also as well, we have further marketing opportunities that will help your company to get in front of our members. So we have CHIC Chat, which is our news article which goes out on a monthly basis, which goes out to about 11,000 people on our address list. So if there are sector updates that you wish to publish through that, then you can contact myself and we can get that into our marketing team. We've also got the CHIC conference, which is at Telford in May this year, which you're all very welcome to attend. Unfortunately, we've sold all our exhibition stands and our sponsorship packages, but please feel free to come along to that to see exactly how we work and potentially look at exhibiting in 2026. Next slide, please, Hannah. As covered off by Amy previously as well, I just thought I'd touch on how we can work with you as a contractor to help with the direct award contracts. So from your side of things, if we're talking to clients or if you're talking to clients, these are some of the other criteria that can help the business case to be a compliant one. So a quick mobilisation timescale, the availability of yourself to use local resources or facilities, the fact that your IT system is fully integratable with some of the clients. You have previous detailed knowledge of installations and the equipment, and you're able to sort of add in some strong social value aspects. There are a couple of other things there which our member service team will cover off with the members and the clients. Next slide, please. Last couple of slides from me. As I just touched off then, 21st of May this year, possibly the best conference you'll go to all of the year. We're looking at about between 700 and 800 delegates on the day, 60 exhibition stands and numerous key speakers throughout the day. So it'd be really good for you guys as established or new framework partners to come along, meet the team and to do a bit of networking and also do a fantastic lunch. So yes, next slide, please. And finally from me, just a couple of other opportunities for you guys to sort of promote yourselves and the framework. We're attending Housing 2025 in Manchester. We're also attending the Housing Community Summit in Liverpool this year. We exhibit at Homes UK at the London Excel, which you can see bottom right. So we take a larger area there, and we have a CHIC community within the Unlock Net Zero stage, where we have about between 14 and 16 of our supply chain who exhibit alongside us there. So if that's something that you'd like to explore, then yeah, please get in contact with myself as well. We also attend Procurex in Wales and the Community Housing Conference in Wales as well. Next slide, please. And that's everything from myself. I'll pass back over to John. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you, everybody. If I can ask colleagues to stick your cameras back on, that would be appreciated. So first of all, thanks to the presenters. I'm very mindful, folks, you've heard an awful lot of information, some of it a bit technical, and seen just over 50 slides, which, thank you for the question, Gary, we will be circulating after the event. So some of the background information in those you may find of more interest to look at subsequent to the session. We have got some frequently asked questions I'll go to in a moment, but I just wanted to make the point that the this M&E framework is now live, can now be used, and we are actively promoting it amongst our members. But you too can actively promote it amongst your clients if you're a contractor, or as members on the webinar, you're able to access it as well. Some of you will have seen Ian's slides where there was, you know, some not insignificant numbers of organisations within each lot and each work stream, but split geographically. When you then break down to some of the technical requirements that Hannah covered in her slides, the scope of what's available that a particular member might need is going to be limited by size of organisation offering that service, the service specifically, and geography. So that's why we have quite a few organisations as participants in the framework. So we give a variety of solutions for our members, and our members range from tiny to huge. Somebody also asked a question about accessing our members list, which Luke has answered on the Q&A. It's a live list, it's available on the website, and any qualifying organisation, housing association, public sector procurement organisation, be a local authority, a health authority, etc., is able to become a member. It's a fairly straightforward process. AIM's team process that. So if you want to work with somebody and you think we can help, even if they're not on the list of members, contact us and we can help you work through with that. So there's as much opportunity for you to put work as a contractor through the framework as there is for us and our members to bring work out for you to respond to. So there are no other questions in the Q&A, so I'm just going to flick to a few frequently asked questions, so they are there. So the first one is, Amy mentioned direct awards instead of a mini competition. So a mini competition is where you run a further mini tender for those qualifying on the framework for a particular opportunity. But a direct award is where we are able to place work. Now the framework's been procured. So Amy, you did cover it to some extent, but just a bit more about how we know if that's valid or not.
Yeah, sure. So CHIC's Direct Award, also known as a call-off route, offers fast-track options. So it's ideal when time is critical, when with contracts typically turned around in 2 to 4 weeks. A Direct Award is based on the framework criteria, allowing members to choose suppliers based on factors like location, resource availability, pricing, local economic considerations. But I think we've been clear, all awards must be backed by an approved business case submitted by the member.
Good, thank you. So in simple terms, we still need to tick the appropriate boxes from a transparent procurement point of view under the way the framework was procured, but there's no element of competition because those circumstances are specific to member and supplier or contractor. Good, thank you. Second frequently asked question is what do we do about performance reporting and benchmarking? How does that actually work? So Mike, can I pick on you for this one, please?
So in an ideal world, performance management won't happen, but in those rare occasions that it does, we work very closely with our members to ensure that all KPIs have been managed effectively. If we do need to come in at any point, we can act as moderators and hopefully come to some sort of amicable arrangements and work together with the member and contractor accordingly to make sure that any sort of action plans are put in place and adhered to. In terms of benchmarking, obviously CHIC as an organisation are here to get the best possible value for our members. So we can work with our schedule of rates to ensure that we can prove really to our members that CHIC are offering the best possible value, whether that's through labour rates or whether that's through material supplies. Myself, Lewis and Giles and Becky from the other side of the supply chain work tirelessly with our contractors and our supply chain and our merchants to make sure that CHIC are offering up the best prices for our members. Thank you.
Brilliant, thanks, Mike. So in simple terms, call-off contract, the performance monitoring is essentially between the client, one of our members, and the contractor awarded a contract under the framework, but we're there to assist going forward. Okay, thank you. Next one is about the question of fee. So we said early on that CHIC, there's no direct cost to members, but the fee is covered through work that's awarded. So how does that actually work? Luke, do you want to pick up the money question?
Yeah, thanks, John. I was getting the money question. So yeah, hi again, everyone. So CHIC offers a sort of flexible fee arrangement. Our maximum fee has been set by our board at 4%. John mentioned earlier in the presentation we have a lot of small term contracts, certainly with the compliance route to markets. They tend to attract a slightly higher fee of 4%. However, we do operate a sliding scale. So the larger the value of work, the more substantial the works are in terms of term length, then actually we can work with the members and the contractors to make sure that we're delivering best value for a member. So that isn't always offering a high fee. Sometimes it's about looking at actually how we can work with members in particular to do more and get best value out of our range of frameworks. So please speak to the member services team, Amy who's on this call, and the rest of the team that you saw on the slide. They will be able to work with you to make sure that the contract, whether direct award or further competition, is delivered at the best value for what you need to achieve.
I just want to pick up how we actually collect our fee as well.
Yeah, so as we mentioned in the presentation, the fees are built into the rates. So from a member's perspective, you will only ever pay one fee or one cost to the contractor or the supply chain. We collect our fees directly from those contractors and suppliers. What tends to happen is they will bill you, they will carry out the work, they will invoice at the end of the month. They invoice and do the requirement under the framework to inform the 15th of the month, the following month as to what was invoiced the previous month, and then we back invoice the contractors and supply chain for our fee, which has been negotiated under that contract.
Brilliant, thank you, Luke. Next one is about the scope of work. We like to think our specifications are fairly robust and up to date, but inevitably the range of technical solutions covered across the two lots in this framework are significant. So if there's a member who wants something slightly different to exactly what we put in the specification, but it's covered within the theme of the framework, can we do that and how? This is a nice technical question for you, I think, Hannah, please.
Thanks, John. Yes, so we would work at that point where we had a member who knows that they need some services that are not described within that existing framework documentation. We would work with them to develop those specifications and those descriptions of rates and pricing that were needed in order to enable those to be costed by suppliers. That would happen usually through a mini competition, but sometimes a direct award will also include asking suppliers to price different rates. So we would just work with our members and with those suppliers to ensure that those rates were properly described and those services were covered.
Thanks, Hannah. And presumably the fact that we've used the NHF schedule of rates provides essentially a wider specification within the SOR.
It does, yes. And the inclusion of day work rates means that we can also help where there might be incidental works that maybe don't need as much specification or where things are unforeseen. That helps with that. The day work rates and the NHF rates help with that too.
Excellent, thank you. The effectively regulation and accreditation of contractors in all things technical covered by this framework, and there's quite a lot of it, means that our members have to be satisfied that contractors and consultants who are awarded framework status, they need to come to us and make sure that those organisations have the right both experience and accreditations, which is part of our purpose. How do we confirm and continue to confirm that that's the case? This is a procurement-y type question, so I'm going to pick on Ian for this one, please.
Okay, thanks, John. Yeah, so obviously, initially, through the strategy we designed, what standards we think they should have in consultation with the technical team and the other teams that are here. So it's a team effort really, and then it's up to us to sort of roll that out through the checks that we do when they first on board. We call them completeness and compliancy checks. So we check for insurances, accreditations, case studies as part of that check. And everything's checked and rechecked. It's not just one person that follows that through or makes a decision on that. So we have a group of us that look at that. We also use third parties like Construction Line and Equifax. We feel that Construction Line gives us a much broader view on the status, where Equifax and sometimes give you just a bland, sharp view, doesn't really give you the background. We obviously run everything through that process. Everybody that qualifies then goes through to a quality evaluation, which is sort of led by procurement, but ultimately the evaluation panel members are all experts in their fields, they're consultants in other areas. And they will take a view from actual delivery where they've got experience themselves, but obviously under the premise of a framework. And obviously throughout the process, we make sure that there are conflicts of interest to manage. So therefore, not one person can make a biased view at any point. We're very, very strict about that. So we feel that sort of ends up sort of quite being a robust way of making sure that people have got it. And then throughout the framework, we still use Construction Line where possible. If not, we do manual checks to make sure accreditations, insurances, and things like that, all the good things that we mentioned earlier on, are still valid. So through sort of a supplier relationship management process.
Brilliant, thanks, Ian. So ongoing monitoring to make sure when a member comes to us that the organisations available to them are appropriately accredited. So thank you for that. The last of our FAQs is about mini competitions. So how do we decide which of the organisations on a particular part of the framework are applicable to sit on a tender list for a mini comp? This sounds like it might come in from a member services team. So Amy, would you like to cover this, please?
Sure, thanks, John. So suppliers must be part of the relevant framework locked for the contract. It's important that they sign the agreement, because if they haven't, then they can't be included. Next, we have to consider specific factors like Section 20 leaseholder requirements, things like that. If there's no restrictions, all suppliers that have been awarded on the relevant lots, such as lot 1 or lot 2 for this particular M&E framework, are invited to take part. We begin the process then with an expression of interest or EOI, which progresses to the invitation to tender or ITT. And then your member services lead manages the process, ensuring it's fair, transparent, and aligned with the members' goals.
Good, thank you, Amy. You mentioned Section 20 there, so if that's probably good to people, most of our members are social housing landlords, and in their housing they have leaseholders who bought under the right to buy previously. Section 20 is shorthand for a separate legislative requirement that they have to comply with to consult leaseholders or notice has to be issued. That is factored into how the process might work. So again, heads of member services can help with that. We've had a question from Pritchard, which has been answered in the Q&A, but I'll pick it up anyway in case you haven't seen it. What version of NHF scheduler rates is being used on the framework? And Hannah answered, but I think you've answered twice, so I'm going to let you do it verbally as well, please.
Yes, so it's version 8 planned works that we've used.
Okay, version 8 planned works. So hopefully that answers that question. And that does bring us to the end of the frequently asked questions. And if there's no more on the chat function, Q&A function, I am going to bring things to a close. We're just about on time, which is good. Can I firstly thank colleagues for your slides and for presenting and for being prepared to answer questions and share your slides, but particularly can I thank all of the participants in the webinar, which we know there are some members who've been present. Thank you to you for joining, and thank you to the contractors and consultants who've also joined. Hopefully this has been a reasonable background to a framework that you're now part of. From our point of view, we want to work together with members and with our partners to promote the framework. Being on a framework does not guarantee work, but by working together, we can identify opportunities and find ultimately what for us is the best solutions for our members and their residents to be delivered through the framework. So we look forward to working with you and hope that lots will flow through it. And ideally, we will see you all on the 21st of May in Telford at the 2025 CHIC conference. So thank you very much again. We will close at 10:58. Thank you.